staying with our last topic, just to tie those together, max point blank range is the farthest distance that I can look, aim, point, shoot, and hit without doing a lot of work and compensating for distance and time and moving targets and wind and stuff. Now, maximum ordinate height, maximum ordinate height. Ordnance means
projectile. No.
Ordnance means bombs. Right? Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Ordnance means bombs. Maximum ordinate height means the maximum height of your bombs, the maximum height of your exploding thingies. Okay, so let's give an example. Maximum ordinate height for artillery. There was a scout helicopter pilot in Vietnam. You all heard their story, right? I think some of you guys have heard it. He's got his crew chief and his gunner, and they're gonna fly back to base. They're done their scouting mission for the day. He calls up on the artillery battery. They're like, hey, what direction are you working? They're like, we're in this azimuth, and we have an 8,000 foot max ordinate height. So artillery's launching their rounds way high up in the sky, and they're gonna fall back down. So this helicopter says, I don't want to be hit in the off chance of taking a round in the belly with friendly artillery fire. So I have two choices. I can fly underneath this rainbow, or I can fly over the top of the rainbow of where these artillery rounds are going to be flying. So the pilot decides he doesn't want to fly underneath because he's susceptible to ground fire. So he takes his helicopter, a little tiny, what you guys call a little bird, little tiny scout helicopter, which has a maximum service ceiling of 10,000 feet above sea level. And he says, okay, we have 8,000 foot max ordinate height. I'm going to give it a healthy margin of error. We're going to go up to 10,000 feet and fly clear above all those artillery shells. And so he climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs that little tiny helicopter, no doors, no windows, the kind of doors open. And so everybody's just freezing up there. And the tiny little helicopter is just chugging along up in the wild blue yonder, right? Supersonic jets, jets, F-105 Thunder Chief jet bomber is like going past him. And the pilot's like, what the fuck? Because here's a dude doing, 2,000 miles an hour. Here's a dude doing 100 miles an hour. She's like, no, So this is an example of max ordinate height, to get over the top of that rainbow or to be under it. Now, let's look at another way that becomes really pertinent. If we're talking about snipers, you're going to shoot through a building. Let's suppose I have a sniper. You guys watch Enemy at the Gates, and snipers in a building, or let's say a parking garage. Okay, imagine a parking garage, but I'm way back in the parking garage. I can launch rounds out of the parking garage just fine. My opponent is another sniper or a machine gunner. He sees me. We're making eye contact. He shoots at me, but is this bullet going to reach me? No, because the apex is farther down the trajectory as the bullet slows down. So my trajectory is really flat going out. Enemy's trajectory is really slow and arcing down coming in. So if I'm in the back of this parking garage, think about two decks of concrete and steel. If I'm back here tucked away in the parking garage, those bullets can't reach me because they're coming back down because they have such a high max ordinate height at distance that they're going to hit above or below me on the concrete floors. So how does that matter at our level? So we're not artillery, we're not snipers. At the rifleman level, how does that matter? Well, if I zero my weapon, let's look at a human body. How big is a human body, right? We're roughly 1 meter from the top of the head down to the dick, okay? So spine length, basically, on men is very consistent, right about 1 meter for almost everybody, no matter how tall or how short you are. Most height differences in men are going to be in the femurs and in the tibias, in the legs. So what that means is that even if someone crouches or kneels or whatever, or sits down or hunkers down, we can still estimate the size of target to be, most of the torso. So if I aim center mass of this torso, I want to catch my bullets sometimes high, but in the target, and sometimes low, but in the target. So I need to know what my max ordinate height is, because my max ordinate height needs to actually equal center of target to top of target. And where does that need to equal center of target, top of target? It needs to be this at the apex. Okay, so we know earlier from our conversation that apex is located at 59% of you to your far zero distance, right? So if you have a 300 meter far zero, your apex is at 177 meters. At 177 meters, you're going to be at your max ordinate height, which means that your center of group on an American, so something you don't know, I'll just give it to you. American rifles are zeroed with a kind of a magic number, 9 inches high, 9 inches low. 9 inches high, 9 inches low. Center of group. So that means if I aim here at 177 meters, my center of group at apex will be at my max ord at 9 inches plus, above my line of sight. So I'm looking here, this is my line of sight. I'm aiming here. My bullet will impact here. This is red dot, iron sights, etc. And if I'm impacted here, where is my group? So we're going to pause for a second and just stretch your brain a little bit. How big would be my group at 177 meters, about 200 yards?
8 inches.
4-minute angle weapon system, 200 yards, quick American math, 8-inch group. So in other words, my group is going to be centered 9 inches high, but it's going to be plus 4 inches, minus 4 inches of that. Does that make sense? So that means that my shots, if I'm doing a good job, my shots can be as high as 9 inches plus 4 inches, which is how high? 13 inches high. Or they could be as low as 9 inches minus 4 inches, or 5 inches high. So in other words, my group at apex distance, 177 meters, will be somewhere, my shots are going to land somewhere between 5 inches above point of aim to 13 inches above point of aim. That's where my group will be at apex. Okay, so this is some of the science that particularly military training or the average layperson just doesn't have a chance to ever learn these things. And so today we can break it down into detail. So I'm glad you guys are here.